Let's hear from Jay Norvell. He went on his own rant of sorts. He actually was speaking on his coach's show for Colorado State, and he actually made a comment that got Deion riled up. Here it is.
And I sat down with ESPN today, and I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me.
All right. And he was critical of the hat and the glasses, even though now there have been several pictures and videos that have surfaced of Jay Norvell doing interviews and his media availability with his visor on. So maybe not a hat, but it's a visor. No, maybe it's the same thing. Coach Prime, of course, heard about this, saw it, whatever, and Coach Prime decided that he wanted to respond. Or at least he was going to put out a response via social media. He's talking to his team, but here's Coach Prime and what he had to say to his team about Jay Norvell's comments.
Sir, I'm minding my own business, watching some film, trying to get ready, trying to get out here and be the best coach I could be. And I look up and I read some bull junk that Dan said about us.
Talk to us.
Once again,
talk to us.
Why would you want to talk about us when we don't talk about nobody? All we do is go out here, work our butts off, and do our job on Saturday. But when they give us ammunition, they done messed around and made it what? It was just going to be a good game. They done messed around and made it personal. It was going to be a great test, a battle of Colorado, but they done messed around and made it personal.
All right, so now it's personal for Prime. Yeah, they didn't poke the Prime. You probably shouldn't poke the Prime. But what I will say is that I think this is actually good for both Colorado State and for Colorado. I know some people are saying basically this is just motivation bulletin board for Deion and that Colorado State's going to get blown out. They probably will get blown out. Maybe they will, and maybe they won't. Colorado State does have a bye week right before this game. So it's possible that Jay Norvell's got something up his sleeve, and maybe with the world watching, you can shock the world. All right, to shock the world,
well, and
the
they
world
beat them last year, but it was a totally different Colorado team.
Totally different team. Yeah, and exactly. And totally different Colorado State team too. But I'll say this: it does. And like I said, I don't know if Jay Norvell is this brilliant, but maybe he is. Right now in college sports, we're starting to see this. We saw it with the women's college national championship game with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Haley Van Lyke, when these very talented women started talking trash and adding the element of the kind of the petty element, right, that we all appreciate. And it kind of captivated the nation, and they ended up getting 9.9 million viewers for that national title game, all because they were talking trash and doing the Tony Yayo, John Cena, you can't see me thing. I think Deion's got having a very similar effect on college football, where there's now a lot of pre-fight hype, a lot of pre-game hype from, Shedeur Sanders talking about Matt Rhule and what did Matt Rhule's comments that he said in the offseason. We're going to bring those back. And all of this pre-game hype is definitely adding to the viewership and the interest of these matchups with Colorado and Deion. And if it has the same effect, and we're seeing it, right? There are as many people watch that game against Nebraska, Colorado-Nebraska, as watch the Texas-Bama game. And they were both close to the same amount of viewers. That's crazy. Because Texas-Bama was a primetime game that people had been anticipating for an entire season. Our blue bloods. And yet Colorado and Nebraska's kind of a defunct blue blood, they end up getting close to the same viewership, all because of primetime, but mostly because of the pre-fight hype. Just like a boxing promoter. And we, like I said, we saw it work with the women's national title game. They got more viewers than any MLS game, any Stanley Cup game since, any Stanley Cup final since 1973. Better ratings than the Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, 2021 NBA Finals, 2020 World Series. You get it. It was the most watched, one of the most watched programs of the year. Period, for a sports.
Certainly there wasn't a football game.
Yeah, so the point is, I think Deion understands the marketing world, and I do think if he's not out on the grassy knoll actually contacting these coaches, I think he understands how to take advantage of these marketing opportunities, and now he's going to bring more eyeballs to this Colorado State game just because we want to watch the petty. We want to watch the NBA-ification of these other sports, which is a lot of pre-fight hype. And you're hyping up these matchups, doing a lot of trash talk, smack talk, whatever you want to call it. But it works to generate interest. There's no doubt. It transcends the sports page to the front page.
There was a time in your life, Rod, when you wanted to be a professional wrestler, and no one does it better than pro wrestling, where
That's exactly
they got the
right.
guys, yelling at each other and, pre-match
hype,
acting, of course, but it's all for show. It's all to create the show that this guy really hates this guy, create the conflict, and it's there. You know who was banging on his desk when this all went down? When Jay Norvell decided he wanted to pop off on his coach's show, and make that's a personal comment. That's not just about Deion. That's like essentially saying my mama raised me right and yours didn't. Essentially, I mean, that's not too far of a leap to make. That my mama raised me to take my glasses off. Well, okay, well then you're taking a shot at Deion's mom. I mean, what are we doing?
True that. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the one that's mad, the one that's saying "dang," is his defensive coordinator, a guy named Freddie Banks, who when they played Washington State in Week 1 gave up 451 passing yards to Cam Ward. And now he's got Shedeur Sanders,
the Heisman front runner.
You think he didn't walk into Jay Norvell's office that next day and said, "Hey, dang, what are you doing, Jay?"
What if he shocks the world though, E? You got the world watching now.
They gave up a 50 burger to Washington State. I don't know that you can improve that quickly.
Yeah,
Not a chance.
Yeah, you gave up a 50 burger. You did.
Go ahead and take Colorado minus 24. Lock it up.
Give me that Shannon Sharp again. That's what the defensive coordinator said. He walked into Jay Norvell. And Jay's trying to calm him down. He said, "No, man. What are you doing? I got to face Shedeur Sanders. This guy's an NFL player."
And in the offseason, it just as if Deion needed more material. Then in the offseason, they got Oregon coming up after this game. Don't forget, Dan Lanning took a shot at Colorado in the offseason. Not necessarily Deion, but took a shot at Colorado when they decided they wanted to up and move back to the Big 12. Do we have this sound tie? Here is the Oregon head coach, Dan Lanning, from this offseason.
Not a big reaction. I mean, I'm trying to remember what they won to affect this conference. I don't remember. You remember them winning anything? I don't remember them winning anything.
Boom.
Dang.
So he already got bulletin board material for next week, and I'm sure Dan Lanning's gonna be asked about, hey, remember you said earlier that Colorado, about them leaving the Pac-12, that they hadn't won anything? Do you remember them winning anything? Do you have any comment on that, or would you like to follow up with that? And he's probably gonna be like, I got no comment, or Deion's got a new program, looks really good. He'll be very complimentary, I'm sure. But that is also bulletin board material that when they get their next nationally televised game, they'll be broadcasting that for the pre-fight hype. And once again, America will be riveted. We'll be captivated by it because it's something about hyping those fights up, and something about the trash talk going on in between the two parties that we just can't get enough of.
Why do you think
you can't get enough of it?
I mentioned wrestling, but in boxing matches, they always get in fights at the weigh-in.
Yeah, and they get
you don't think that's staged?
Your nose to nose? Yeah.
Come on, man. You guys were about to fight. Why are we fighting at the weigh-in?
You should start having dual press conferences with Deion and the opposing coach every week.
Honestly,
it's personal.
Brett Yarmark might do it. You joking?
Brett Yarmark and the Dana White role in the middle, holding him back.
Listen, somebody just said, I think College Game Day is in Boulder this week. Colorado College Game Day is there, and right now I'm looking up over Rod's head.
Yeah,
and they're in Boulder right now talking to Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. The new Stephen A. Smith morning ESPN show is there right now.
And you know who else is there? 60 Minutes. So 60 Minutes is now, all right, we got to jump on this. This is a big. That's how you know it's truly transcended from the sports page to the front page.
Sure.
And let it sink in, folks. Right now, Colorado has the most expensive average ticket price for college football games in the country.
Yeah, they're a
It's
show.
crazy.
People want to be there. There's only 50,000 seats in that arena and that stadium.
$517 on average is their ticket price. Last season, it was $121. They have a higher average ticket price than any other program in the country. Boulder, Colorado. Last week, the Nebraska, you brought this up, E. The Colorado-Nebraska game ended up being the most bet on college football game of the week. Nobody, basically no game was more bet on, whether it be bet against or for, because some people are rooting against Deion. That's part of this, though, right? That's why he's polarizing. You either love or hate Deion. You're not straddling the fence. You're not on the fence about Deion. You either love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
And most people, I love him. I roar 21 because of Deion. But I see why people hate him. I get it. Trust me, I get the hate. I just don't. I love it.
Look, I grew up with him as you did, Rod. I mean, this is a man who won a Super Bowl and a World Series. I mean, no one's ever done that.
Yeah.
You won a World Series too?
Oh, yeah.
With Atlanta?
With the Braves, yes. And he played in a football game and in a World Series game on the same day.
Same day.
What?
Dude played a football game and a baseball game on the same day.
Deion was ridiculous.
He wasn't good at hitting, though, was he?
He was so fast, though. He could put the bat on the ball. And he was a great outfielder, and there's not a fast. I mean, he's running 4.2 or whatever he was. I mean, he could get up and down the base paths. He was an impact player though, and he was not a think like I don't know. He could
play center field.
He kind of slapped at the ball, and boy, could he run.
Exactly. He didn't really need. Basically, if he got a grounder, he was good.
Yeah,
like, he
wasn't the baseball player Bo Jackson was. I mean, Bo Jackson was the best of both. Like when you play, he could have been a Hall of Famer in either sport had he stuck with one, and then not gotten the hip injury. But Deion was a freak, and you're right though. But he's been marketing himself the whole time. You know, when people don't realize, when he says bull junk, Deion Sanders doesn't cuss. He would tell you that he doesn't drink. He never drinks. I mean, people always think him as a party guy. He presented himself as a party guy, but he wasn't a party guy. Deion likes to go fishing. Deion's a country boy who likes to fish. That's all his primetime ego, or his primetime, what do you call it? Alter ego. The persona.
Yeah, he made that up.
Yeah.
Primetime, baby.
People think he's out, because he was with the Cowboys, right? And I used to cover it for St. Edwards when I was there, covering training camp. And he'd come up in the Mercedes Beamer BMW, and then he'd be pumping, but people kind of lumped him in with the Michael Irvin and the whole White House thing and the drugs and all that. Deion wasn't into that stuff.
Nope.
But Deion put on a show. And another run in with Deion was when he became part owner of the Austin Wranglers arena football team.
I remember this.
And Bucky and I were doing the play-by-play in the color, and we had Deion in the studio several times. He was coming in trying to sell tickets and pump up the. I was told Deion really didn't invest any money.
They wanted him as a salesman.
They wanted his brand. In and sell tickets.
They wanted his brand.
Yeah,
they're like, we need your brand.
Yeah, and we want you to pretend you're our owner. And he was there. He was on our show selling it, telling stories, being Deion. But you're right. That's how he's been. But don't doubt because the whole thing about it's personal. He's trying to motivate these players who this, Rod. I mean, this is every coach's challenge. 18, 19, 20-year-old young people. Keep them engaged.
Yep.
They get distracted easily.
They do.
Keep motivating them. How do you avoid getting caught up in the rat poison at Colorado is make it personal. Make it a personal thing. They're attacking you. They're attacking us. We are the team, and now they're attacking us. And as Ty would say, don't blame the haters if you're popping or whatever.
If you don't got haters, you ain't popping.
You ain't popping.
You ain't popping.
I will say this too. He said there was a video out, and he admitted in the video. He revealed in the video that the first home game for Colorado, it ended up generating $18 million in revenue for the city of Boulder.
Yeah,
$18 million. Just so their one game day kind of effect with Deion now is $18 million for Boulder, the city. That is on a macro level showing the impact, the Deion effect, if you will.